We will now begin the Boynton Beach CRA Board meeting Tuesday, May 9, 2017 at 6:30 p.m. Would everyone please rise for invocation by Pastor Davis, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Almighty God, our Lord, our Governor, whose glory is in all the world, and who has given us this good land for our heritage. We commit this city, this county, this state, this nation to thy merciful care, that being guided by thy providence, we may dwell secure in thy peace. We humbly beseech thee that we may always prove ourselves a people mindful of thy favor and glad to do thy will. Bless our land with honorable industry, sound learning, and pure manners. Save us from violence, discord, and confusion, from pride and arrogance, and from every evil way. Defend our liberties and fashion into one united people the multitudes brought hither out of many kindreds and tongues. In the scriptures, you have said that citizens ought to obey the governing authorities, whom you have established to promote peace and order and justice. Therefore, we pray for our CRA Board members, Chairman Mayor Grant, Vice Chairman, Vice Mayor Katz, Commissioner and Board Member McCrae, Commissioner and Board Member Romulus, and Commissioner and Board Member Casello. We ask that you would graciously endow them with the spirit of wisdom to govern amid the conflicting issues and interests of our times, with a sense of welfare and the true needs of our people, a keen thirst for justice and rightness, confidence in what is good and fitting, the ability to work together in harmony even when there is honest disagreement, and personal peace in their lives and joy in their task. We also extend our prayers to those who serve our great city as the staff of the Boynton Beaches Community Redevelopment Agency. We humbly ask that you would continue to lead Michael, Susan, Teresa, Vicky, Tracy, Mercedes, Bonnie, Azim, and Matthew, as they serve the community by guiding redevelopment activities such as affordable housing, free special events, and small business funding programs that create a vibrant downtown core and revitalize neighborhoods within the agency's district. Fill them with the love of truth and righteousness, and make them ever mindful of their calling to serve your people in thy fear. Through Jesus Christ our Lord, who liveth and reigneth with thee. And in the time of prosperity, fill our hearts with thankfulness, and in the day of trouble, suffer not our trust in thee to fail. All which we ask through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Casello.
Here.
Ms. Rollins.
Present.
Chairman Grant.
Here.
Ms. Peck.
Here.
Vice Chair Katz.
Here.
All present.
All right. Agenda approval. Any deletions, any additions, deletions, or corrections to the agenda? I'd like to add a letter of intent policy to legal and add a announcement for our new financial specialist, Jabara Jenkins. You go.
No, go ahead. I was going to second that. So moved it.
Yep. Vice Chair Katz.
I was just going to say, I think it's up next month, the period of the interim director before we review potentially retaining and establishing a full-time contract, and if we could put that discussion on under new items this month.
So move it up from item 16B to was that 14H?
I believe so.
All right.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Any other additions, deletions, or corrections? Seeing none, may I have a motion to approve as amended?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Agenda approved. Tara?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Board members, I ask that we put this on the agenda under legal because given the interest in developing the CRA and the number of letters of intent the CRA Board has received over the last several months, Director Simon and I have discussed bringing forward for your consideration a procedure when we get a letter of intent that would establish a very clear timeframe and parameters to be followed by staff and the board to process these letters of intent as they come through and to ultimately get to approval or denial of those letters of intent. So what we were thinking of, so a letter of intent can come in at any time because obviously it's driven by an interested purchaser in property. When Mike or staff receives a letter of intent, what we would propose to do would be to put it on the agenda for your consideration, to give staff direction as to whether or not you're interested in their investigating the letter of intent. And you would also be directing them at that time to publish notice in the paper of your potential intent to dispose of the property. So that would begin the 30-day time period that would be running. After the expiration of that notification period, we would then put the letters of intent and any additional interest received during that time period on the agenda for your consideration. So that would be the timeline procedure that we'd be proposing. Along with that, staff is going to develop basically a list of documents and information that they would be accumulating from the submitter of any letter of intent that would answer questions about financing, timing, development schedule, other things that staff feels are important to bring forward for your consideration of the letters of intent. So it's if you are comfortable with that directions, I will work with staff to put that together and bring it back to you to establish the policy in June.
We look forward to seeing what you come up with.
Great, thank you.
Any other comments? Seeing none. Moving on to informational items and disclosures. Vice Chair Katz.
I have no disclosures relevant to CRA business, but I'd like to announce that recently I was the duly elected president of the Palm Beach County Classroom Teachers Association, and I bring that up because even though it has an impact obviously in Boynton Beach because it'll affect the teachers and students in our schools, but I wanted to thank individuals in the city, co-workers and friends and fellow commissioners and board members who assisted in these efforts because it was a close race, and if not for the effort and the advocacy of friends I've made during the course of the past year in this job, it likely would not have happened. So I thank anybody who contributed to my efforts, and I appreciate calls of congratulation from everyone on the board as well as many from the staff and the CRA and the city, and I'm happy to be in that position, and I look forward to improving the schools in Boynton Beach and the district at large as the new president of the CTA.
Board Member McCraig.
Thank you, sir. On 13B tonight, consideration of the letter of intent from St. John Missionary Baptist Church. I'd just like to disclose tonight that as a member of that church, I have nothing to gain, nothing to lose. If I vote on this tonight, I'm just saying, so I have no conflict of interest, but I'm trying to let everybody know. Okay, the next thing is that in regards to things that I've done, I went to South Palm Beach County, Delta Sigma Theta Alumni Scholastic Awards held at the St. John Missionary Baptist Church, and I want to say, because I see some Deltas in here tonight, thank you, job well done. I'd just like to say in pastor's prayer tonight, my pastor prayer tonight, just in case he missed any CRA board members, as we always say, so be it. Thank you. Covered. Thank you.
All right. I met with Del Sol Bakery this past month. David Scott had a call from Pastor Davis and spoke with him. And then I did attend Sunfest. People were asking me about when is Boynton Beach going to have a similar event in that size, maybe a paid concert. And I said, not this year, but maybe next. So, maybe. Board Member Romulus.
I have nothing to report for this week, Mayor. Thank you.
Board Member Casillo.
I have nothing, no conflicts, but I would like to say that with the Commissioner Romulus and myself and yourself, Mayor. We were at the press conference yesterday for the Boynton Police Department, rolling out their body cameras. And it was a real eye-opener. And I think that this is something that the communities have been asking for, and I'm glad that us as board members and as commissioners have supported that. So I look forward to that being implemented this week. Also, I had spent a couple of days up in Tallahassee watching our state legislators at work up there on the chamber floors, and I'm happy to announce that the CRA bills that were up there were defeated, which is very good for us. Yes. So I was very happy to hear that. And also, I'd like to have an announcement tonight, also, that while I was in Tallahassee, I filed to run for House seat, State Representative District 90. That's currently held by Laurie Berman, who will be termed out in 2018. So I'll be working the neighborhoods. You'll be seeing me knocking on doors again. Thank you.
Wish you good luck. And moving on to announcements, our new financial specialist, Jabara Jenkins. Michael?
Yes, Board, I had sent out the email to you all introducing Jabara Jenkins as our new CRA finance specialist. She is taking Vicki Hill's position as Vicki moves into the finance director position as Susan Harris leaves the agency in retirement after serving an exceptional 12-year term. We thank you again, and Jabara is coming to us with a lot of experience with internal and external auditing, journal entries. She is going to provide an awful lot of expertise and a new face to the agency. We welcome her.
I'd like to say in regards to Jabara, you can stand. They just want to know who you are. Yesterday, when I was over at the CRA office, I'm just saying I was going through, and Michael said, "Let me introduce you to Jabara." And the first thing she said, "I know you from the funeral home." So I'm just saying, you never know who you're going to meet. So I'm just saying, I'm glad I have good behavior. Thank you. Welcome aboard.
All right. All right.
I do want to just take the time to publicly thank Susan as well for her service. I know that she's been amazing, tremendous, just so many years of impeccable financial records here in the CRA, and thank you for all that you do, and thank you for what you have done. And again, you're going to be leaving some big shoes to fill, but I know Vicki will be doing great in your position, so thank you.
I'm going to let you in on a little secret, Susan. Retirement is not what it's cut out to be, okay? I'm just going to tell you. You still work.
Seeing no more. Moving on to announcement of movies in the park.
Good evening, Mercedes Coppin, Special Events Coordinator. Last Friday night, we screened the film Hidden Figures at the Movies in the Park event. Despite the rainy and windy weather, we had approximately 100 people attend the event. All moviegoers were entered into a drawing to win gift certificates to the CRA merchants who were featured in the preview to the film, which included Del Sol Bakery, Tsunami Subs, Sweetwater Bar and Grill, Troy's Barbecue, and Yoga Fit. The final Movies in the Park event of this season will be on June 2nd at 8 p.m. The feature film is School of Rock, which is rated PG-13. Food and beverages will be available for purchase from the Troy's Barbecue food truck.
Cool.
Our last Music on the Rocks event was on April 21st and featured country pop band Runaway Mile. We had a fairly decent turnout with approximately 250 people attending the event. The next Music on the Rocks event will be on Friday, May 19th, and music will be provided by the Jeff Harding Band, which is a contemporary rock and pop band. Food and drinks will be available for purchase from food truck invasion vendors and a mobile bar service starting at 7 p.m., and the entire concert runs from 7 to 10 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you. And on next, Habitat for Home Dedications Model Block Project speaker Jeffrey Fengler.
Good evening, everyone. I'm just here to thank Michael and the staff of the CRA, the commissioners for the city of Boynton Beach. We are always impressed with the partnership between the CRA and Habitat for Humanity. We both have the vision to make Boynton Beach a better place to live for those low-income families. We just completed the 2 homes at 137 and 141 Martin Luther King on the model block project. The first family moved in this weekend. The second family will move in next weekend. It's just amazing that Boynton Beach, the city, and the CRA embrace what we do. Of the 3 CRAs that we work with, the city of Boynton Beach is the only one that really embraces what we do and works with us to get properties and to move families in to their new homes and their new lives. The one family that moved in this weekend, the little girl, about 8 years old, we sent someone over there to check out something, and she grabbed him and said, "Here, come look at my bedroom." It's the first bedroom she ever had. So, just want to say thank you. And we put it in an LOI on an additional lot right there in the model block community next week, and looking forward to putting another new home in that area. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir, I'd just like to personally say to you, thank you. A lot of things is happening in District 2 because of Habitat for Humanity, as well as the city of Boynton. I thank you for stepping up to the plate, making people feel welcome. I was at the dedications of the 2 homes and everything, and I too witnessed, smiles on people's face. Keep up the good work, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. We are starting 2 new homes Thursday.
Moving on to consent agenda. We have a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any comments on item 10, information only? Seeing none, moving on to public comments. Anyone in the audience who would like to speak, please come up. You'll be limited to 3 minutes. Please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, Susan Oyer, 140 Southeast 27th Way. I just wanted to say a quick congratulations to Vice Chairman Katz. I worked very hard to help you, and I hope I was able to swing enough votes that it made that difference, and I will see you tomorrow as I go support you at CTA in your continued battle to actually make this happen. I also would like to say thank you to Chairman Grant, who was very nice and came to one of my classes, my worst behaved class, about a month and a half ago. I'm sure that was absolute torture for him. He came in his position as mayor, and I'm sure it was absolute torture. He answered about 5 billion questions, because if you know bad kids, they just rifle shot you with questions, and the poor guy, he answered everything from all about the job to his dog to the difference between fusion versus fission reactors. So he really got quite the set of questions, but I wanted to say thank you very much, because that was very nice of you, and I hope you live up to your promise to come back towards the end of the year, because they're actually looking forward to that.
Well, they have to behave.
Yeah. Well, that's another. Levels of behavior are a different thing. But thank you very much, and I really enjoyed the movie the other day, and that was really great. And Mercedes, I'd like to see you at some point, because I have an idea for you. Thank you.
Am I allowed to do business now, or should I wait?
Thank you for letting us know. We'll allow it for public audience then.
Now?
No, then.
Okay.
All right. Seeing no more, moving on to old business, item A, consideration of purchase. Would someone like to remove it from the table?
So move.
Okay. Is there a second? Because I don't know if we haven't gotten anything.
We haven't gotten anything.
So we don't have to remove it from the table. Thank you.
Next.
No second. Motion fails. Moving on to item 13B, consideration of the letter of intent from St. John's Missionary Baptist Church for the purchase of the CRA-owned property location at 700 North Seacrest Boulevard, also known as the Ocean Breeze East Side. Michael?
Board Chair and board members, the item is in front of you this evening, again, as a continuation of the process for review of the letter of intent from St. John's. As Tara mentioned earlier, we have published the public notice to dispose, and that 30-day period ends on May 15th. The board is welcome to discuss items of the letter of intent, or may choose to wait until after the 30-day. It is completely up to the board.
Remember, I believe, one second. I believe when we came last month, we asked for Roundstone to come back for any additional questions. So if the board has any additional questions, I think Roundstone is here to answer any. Is that correct? Yep. Okay. So, Vice Chair Katz, would you like to begin?
Yeah, I mean, I'll, I guess, there's people here to speak on it. I was going to recommend that per the guidance of our CRA attorney and interim director, given the fact that the disposal window doesn't end until next week, that we tabled this until we know for sure that, this is the only offer, or there are other potential offers that come out, just to make sure that we don't make decisions prior to having complete information about the potential disposal of this land.
As a member of St. John, I'm going to be in agreement with not voting tonight until after that 30-day window, because I don't want to be like conflict of interest. But like I said before, but I will listen for comments so that we have it for the record. But then after that, we do something in June. I just want everybody to know that we have to recognize the law. That's all I'm saying tonight.
I mean, my quick question is that regarding the three options for financing of the 9% tax credit, the 4% sale, and the non-competitive, are we allowed to, or are you willing to do, go with the tax credit first, and if that doesn't work, go for the non-competitive financing package?
Good evening to everyone, board chair and board members. Actually, what we discussed in one previous meeting, in which we liked the suggestion that as we are pursuing the 221D4 structure, that we will apply for the 9% tax credit, and if successful, we will withdraw from the 221D4 structure. But if unsuccessful, then we felt comfortable because we will still be moving in the path of the 221D4 option. So we just kind of reversing what you said. We want to go down to 221D4, but we'll submit application for the 9% tax credit.
Thank you.
I just like to throw out there for future discussion, when we do discuss this, some potentially other ways we could finance this or financing it. I have a list here. Number one, St. John's could agree to pay off all or a portion of the CRA's interest payment over time. St. John's and or Roundstone could contribute some of the developer's fees to reduce the CRA's contribution in debt. The CRA could partner with Roundstone to develop the property and pay St. John's to manage the facility. And maybe emphasis we should really start thinking as a board should be placed on the MLK Boulevard South project area before we do Ocean Breeze East. And finally, if we're going to offer a $1.5 million appraised land value and $1 million cash, that maybe potentially put an RFP out there to see if any other developers would be interested in that kind of a business deal. Thank you.
I see we have someone from the audience who would like to ask any questions or comments.
David Katz, 67 Midwood Lane. I just want to make sure I heard the interim director correctly, and if the attorney's in agreement, because the notice was published in the paper April 14th. 30 days is on a Sunday. Does that mean anybody who might submit has till Monday, the 15th?
Yes.
Okay. And the only other thing I have to say is that one thing that Commissioner Board Member Casella mentioned is that because with the letter of intent, and I totally agree with giving the land away, whether it be for $10 or zero, that the scope has changed significantly of whatever's been out there before. Before you guys drank the Kool-Aid of Vivian Brooks that the property was worth $1.5 million. It tripled in value over a year, the only piece of property in Boynton Beach to do that. And then now I think at the last meeting it was said that the property is worth $800,000. The only piece of property in Boynton Beach to drop by 50% in the history of Boynton Beach. But anyway, having said that, I'm agreeing with Board Member Casello that because the scope has changed so significantly, that not just letters of intent should be accepted, but the board should put out an actual RFP on this because you're willing to give the land away. And that changes everything 180 degrees. Thank you.
We would like to, the St. John and Roundstone Development Team would just like to submit this for the record. As of today, our team has had very productive and informative conversations with board members, including several conversations with the interim director. In almost every meeting, every suggestion which was presented to aid in reinforcing this project, including financial related information, was researched and applied to revise performance. This included decreasing the TIF years from 20 to possible 5 years, committing any surplus from the project directly to the debt, confirming the payments toward the loan would not commence until after the CO, and as we just discussed, pursuing the 9% tax credit alongside the 221D4 option. One continuous question we have posed to various board members is, where does this long overdue Heart of Boynton project rank in priority for the board at large? The community has heard throughout the years that this project is a priority for the city, CRA, and the Heart of Boynton community. However, when the CRA has and will consider committing millions of dollars toward other CRA development projects, for example, One Boynton LLC in Town Square, and we experience continued failure and or delay with the Ocean Breeze East project, we must wonder, is this project truly a priority for the CRA? We have shown that city stakeholders within and the surrounding Heart of Boynton community, which include Big, Inca, Forest Park, HOB, the CDC, Boynton clergy, your own advisory board, are all on board with this project being a top priority to get it done. The entire city deserves this project, and the entire city will benefit from its completion financially for years to come. Delay or delaying has become all too familiar for the Heart of Boynton community when it comes to development. We deserve and expect more from the board. This project deserves special and abnormal consideration from this board, showing extraordinary commitment to get it done. The CRA is a needed investment partner for this project, which means the city and HRB community is depending on you to step up and make this happen, even if it warrants abnormal consideration. The board collectively and individually have said again, affordable housing is important for the city and the HOB community. The same as other market rate projects, the CRA is considering investing millions of dollars. Let's show the city and the community that we can come together as one and get this project done. This is a win-win for everyone. This boils down to the priorities of this collective board with regard to affordable housing development and market rate development, affordable housing projects. Where does affordable housing projects fit into these priorities? Let's get this project moving and deliver what the city and the community needs: a first-class affordable housing development project for seniors within the city and Heart of Boynton. In closing, we respect the decision from the board to table this item until the June board meeting. However, we ask this board to commit to ensuring this item will not only appear on the June agenda, but will consist of a final vote affirming the letter of interest submitted by St. John Missionary Baptist Church and Roundstone Development, LLC. Thank you.
Let me go ahead and make comments. In regards to the project for St. John, I'm totally in favor. What we need to go ahead and state tonight is that the project that was supposed to have been placed on MLK Boulevard, that it will not come to fruition. I don't know why they don't want to tell us, but I'm just saying that did not come through. So that needs to be said tonight for the records. I'm just saying, so those projects that we have looking forward to in District 2 is this project that St. John has stepped to the table for. I'm glad that you all stated tonight that you all are willing to come back June 4th because it was to be within the law. I'm going to offer a motion tonight that we consider to table this matter until June 4th.
Second.
City?
Before we table it.
Is that the CRA meeting? You can go for discussion. What's the date for the next CRA meeting?
June 13th.
June 13th then.
I just had one other question to legal, is that after the board decides, would it have to still go to the city commission for approval?
Yes.
Okay. All right. We have a motion. Is there a second?
Discussion, please.
Yep, go
We
ahead.
have a second, the discussion.
Sure. I just want to make a couple comments. So I do definitely agree with tabling because this is not a stall tactic, just to make sure that we're very clear on that. I'm very much in favor of this project. I think that we do need this in District 2. My only sentiment is that we need to make sure we do things legally. We're not, moving the envelope too fast, and that we don't set ourselves up as a board ourselves for legality issues. Second, when this comes before us in June, I would like to accept the letter of intent with negotiation being open. I believe that there are certain parts of the letter of intent that should have wiggle room, and if St. John and Roundstone are expecting us as a board to be able to support this initiative, I think there should be some wiggle room to be able to work around and make sure that both parties are able to come out ahead of this deal. In addition, I also would just like to make a request that if possible at all, that is it possible to consider this project not be a senior project, but potentially just something that's open to the entire community, because I feel like affordable housing is not just something that's only needed in the senior community, but it's also needed in the college age students and students that are coming out of young people that are getting married and that are raising families. So this is something that I want to consider, because I'm not really sure why we're having to go the senior route, but I would really like to see if there's any other viable options for that. So these are my this is my take. I'd like to see us discuss these options further when we come back in June to discuss this. Thank you.
And just following suit with what Board Member Ramos said, I agree with the notion that putting the 55 and older component into it might not be the direction that I would like to see the project go in. I fundamentally support the project. I've said that since day one. But with regards to feeling compelled to make any definitive commitment as of the next meeting, just personally, that's not something I am willing to say, because there are a number of unanswered questions regarding this. We have no clue if any other submissions will come in, so to say at this time that any sort of commitment will be made to St. John's or any other potential bid is just as premature, and it would appear to be predetermined, I think, if we as a board were to say we're definitely going to make a decision prior to seeing other submittals or working on this particular submittal, so that it is in accord with what the board sees. So I look forward to the item returning in June, and whether it's the only offer that we receive or if additional offers come in, I think that it's important that we as a board make the best decision for the city, the CRA, and obviously in terms of spending our money, we want to make sure we're efficient with that regard as well. So I look forward to it coming back, although I do not feel that anyone should feel bound to make a decision of any sort in such a short time window.
If I can just offer for the audience also, while the board members can say they support the project, they're not legally permitted to vote on something prematurely. So to the extent that they are going to table, and that's the discussion and motion on the table, they are not able to commit to specifics tonight, which is what I think Board Member Katz was referring to, or Vice Chair Katz, my apologies. So that's a legal issue, but they certainly can, as other board members have done, acknowledge support of the project consistently.
My comments is that, excuse me, thank you. my comments is for the Roundstone and the St. John, since you all know where we're coming from, I'm just saying this give you a clue where you all need to come back, and bring your information back to us. This is what I'm saying. As sitting up here representing District 2, I've had numerous individuals came and said that they are going to do thus and so, who have never stepped up to the plate, came with 4 or 5 individuals, and as I look out over this audience and see support for this project, I have to go ahead and say what I'm going to say. I'm still in favor of this project as I represent District 2. Thank you.
And I disagree with some of the earlier comments there that this hasn't been a priority by this board. Since the last 4 years I've been up here, we've had 3 or 4 proposals for various reasons they didn't go through, but we've put that piece of land out there numerous times to try to get it developed in various ways. I'd also like to say that I'd like the concept. The concept's great. I'd be in favor of the concept. But what I'm having trouble with is the financial, the bottom line here for the city. That is the issue with me. So if we can work out the details and we can have that discussion come June.
Motion to table has been seconded. Ready for a vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Seeing none. Motion to table passes to next month, June 14th. 13th, sorry. 13. Next item, 13C, status of 2.97 acre project site known as MLK Junior South. Michael?
Yes, Board. The information that's been provided in the backup are some of the email correspondence recently with Robbie Block at New Rock to ascertain where they are in the process of their application for the 9% tax credit through the Florida Housing Finance Corporation, and they have indicated now, after a previous email, that they were in second position in the lottery selection. They were not going to challenge the selection this time, the ranking, and are at this moment beginning to look at potentially other means of financing the project, which they have under their contract to June 30th. Kind of an additional period of time in which they can exercise that right. And at this point, they are considering that. So they haven't officially terminated the contract as of today.
So Michael, just to be clear, they have to June 30th? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir. I have had lengthy discussion today with Robbie Block and the president of New Rock to kind of get, again, a very clear idea of what is happening with them, what they're thinking about, to touch base with them on the status of the contracts that they have currently engaged with the sellers and what some of those terms are and whether or not they're favorable for a project to continue. They're going to work on those particular issues to ensure that it leaves somewhat of an opening for us to continue forward as they pursue these other opportunities. So I presume that we will hear more detail in the upcoming days with regard to what they are able to put together if they are able to do anything. But they are aware of their termination deadline, and if they are not able to be successful, they most likely will have no other choice if they can't finance it to do that. But they are optimistic. They can, no stone unturned, as they say. So that's where they're going now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me ask a question, Mr. Simon.
Yes, sir.
What was their termination letter first? Was it the end of this month?
No, it's for the 30th of July of June.
30th of June.
Yes.
Okay, but all avenues as far as them like getting tax credits, et cetera, that they did not come up to the plate where they came in second place, right?
Correct. The lottery ball. Yeah, yes, sir. They did not. They were not selected per the tax credit application process.
So it's a possibility that they will come back with a new set of plans, and financially, this is the route that they're going to try to go. Is this what I'm hearing?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Correct. They could possibly come back with a similar non-competitive financing as we are seeing with Ocean Breeze East.
Right.
Yes, sir. They may even come back and ask for another attempt at that next, to hold on through the next cycle and give them another opportunity. But I really felt that the project is as Ocean Breeze East is. These are very identified projects and priorities in the CRA plan within the heart of Boynton neighborhood, and every possible opportunity we can to fund them and to have them come out of the ground, I think, was worth exploring. So I was supportive of this next, 10 to 30 days, hopefully being able to find something that made sense.
My take on this is saying that they could go and come back. I'm just saying, how many times have they been before us? I'm just saying this group that we're talking about.
New Rock was selected this last cycle, and that's the first cycle that they were selected to participate in the application process. This is their first attempt.
Their first attempt. I'm just
Yes,
saying,
sir.
I'm kind of a little hesitant. I'm just saying because, you know, I heard New Rock before, even before I set up here, and I'm just saying I have some questions about them. But hopefully if they come back, I'm just saying, you know, I hate to keep tying up property on MLK Boulevard for people who cannot reproduce or produce. That's all I'm saying. I'll deal with it when it comes to June 30th. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, moving on. New business, Community Caring Center, first and second quarterly report.
Board, the item before you is for the Community Caring Center's first and second quarterly report. Sherry Johnson is here. The report has been submitted and found to be in order and compliance with the agreement for funding of the agency.
Guys have questions?
I was at the Sailfish Cafe this week. It's great. There was the basil lemonade. It was delicious.
Oh, wonderful.
And that's my comment.
I've been there a few times myself, Sherry, and I love the tuna sandwiches, so I'm all in. And just a comment that I have is that the work that you do for this community is just outstanding, and I'm very proud to be part of that.
Thank you.
And, you know, in helping you, you know, financially as much as we can and legally as much as we can, it gives my heart great joy to do that. So, thank you.
Have a folder.
Sherry, before you go any
I'm
further,
sorry.
thank
Yes.
you. My only comment is that I'm glad that you kept going out and finally looked at your sign and seen that the S had fallen off, and because you was advertising L-fish, and I'm like saying, okay, and I didn't feel like coming in to tell you all, but just keep your eyes on your sign. But I'm in favor of what all you all are doing, and I'm going to go ahead with this being in there, you know, so that we could expedite things along to offer a motion that this be accepted.
I second that.
Any other comments? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Yeah, you're welcome.
I'd like to just, you have something on your desk, which is we committed to do a job fair this year. And so September, we're going to be doing that. We're starting to put our marketing material together. We have a couple of grants pending. We'll know somewhere around June. And it will begin a culinary job training program. We want to begin a partnership with the tech schools so that they can move from us, so they get acquainted with that, into the tech, and then perhaps go on to the executive program at the State College. So save some dates, and I'll let you know for a ribbon cutting on that announcement.
Thank you, Sherry.
You're welcome.
Moving on to item 14B, consideration of request for event sponsorship by the GBDC Entrepreneurship Institute.
Board Chair and board members, this item is being brought before you for consideration as to your desire to sponsor or provide sponsorship funding to the GBDC Entrepreneurial Institute and their event that is going to be held at Benvenuto here in Boynton, called the South Florida Regional Business and Finance Conference on May 25th. There are categories of sponsorship in your backup, various levels of gold, silver, and sorry.
Gold, silver, and bronze. you mean?
Bronze, yes. Gold, silver, and bronze.
Just like the Olympics, Mike.
Hello, the Olympics. That's $1,500, $1,000, and $700, gold being the highest.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, a disclosure, I am on the board of directors of this organization, and I've been informed by the law that there's no conflict of interest to vote.
Let me ask Mrs. Gray, since you're here, I'm just saying, if we go out and say we're going to be a sponsor, what do we get for sponsorship? Just notoriety, CRA, what do we get?
Good afternoon, Annette Gray, founder and executive director of the GBDC Entrepreneurship Institute. I have been holding off on our primary promotion, which is our radio. We have been offered by CBS Radio some PSAs, and we have a 1,000-piece mailer that is queued up to go out. And so, of course, you would be promoted as a sponsor on those major media outlets. In addition to that, having the presence, several board members will be on our panel discussing the city, leadership perspectives, economic development programs, and support of primarily our youth program. If you'll excuse me, I'm not sure if this is in this packet. This event is actually fun. Big picture is that this event is a fundraiser for our Summer Youth Future Leaders and Entrepreneurs program. And over the years, I have approximately 20 to 40 young people come in. They write a business plan, they start a business. And so these funds goes towards the business plan competition prizes and funds to start the business. So that's the big picture, which is job creation for our young people and development of our young people.
Mrs. Gray, I appreciate you for bringing this forward. You know, you was a former employee of the Boynton Beach CRA, and I'm glad to see that you're still connected with the city of Boynton. I don't want to make like that we're so cheap, but I'm in favor of giving you the $700 sponsorship.
You know, my concern is that this is, you know, the business is not in the CRA, and so I don't know, is that, you know, I guess legal, is that something that we can do with our, you know, taxpayers' dollars to give money to a nonprofit that is not located within the CRA for an event that is in the CRA?
You can't, as long as the event and the money is consistent with the CRA plan and in the best interest of the CRA, you can fund it. And that's obviously a policy decision for the board with the direction of Mr. Simon on whether it's consistent with the direction of the plan. The keystone for how the CRA spends its money is the redevelopment plan and the priorities set in there. So if it's consistent with that, you are permitted to spend the funds.
Is there a budget item for something similar to this? Okay. What would that budget item be?
Susan, excuse me, Susan Harris, Finance Director. It's in the project fund. We have a community meeting and workshop budget line with available funding in it that would cover this.
This event is going to be held in the CRA district, correct?
Yes, at Benvenuto's.
Then my only other question is that do we have any sort of policy, Michael, for other nonprofits to ask for sponsorships when they either are from the CRA or doing an event in the CRA?
We have the special events grant that allows for-profit and non-profit entities to apply for events that
a marketing budget
for their marketing and for various aspects of the event where the event brings additional attention to local area businesses within the CRA district. This is a little, as others have been, outside the box, but as you remember, you've assigned now the special events grant and our vendor policy to be reviewed by the CRA Board. We'd certainly like to bring something back to you as we begin next year with some more defined parameters around these types of situations.
And then this would not be under the marketing budget because of it being a sponsorship?
Yes, sir. I would say it should not fall under the special events grant item. So Susan said,
it is for special events, but it's also available under our marketing, because like
meetings and
Ms. Gray said,
seminars.
there'll be a public service announcements on CBS and over 1,000 flyers. So, do you have a? So we have a motion for $700. I would just to say that if we
I
could
do have
come
a
from the
question.
marketing budget rather than the special events grant.
Let me go ahead and do further discussion. I'm just saying, we're trying to get hung up on, like, if it's for the CRA district, et cetera, it's for youth that lives here in this community, and it says future entrepreneurs and business leaders. I'm just saying, if we support the future people here in this community, perhaps they will come back over to the CRA. I'm just saying, this is how we invest our money. We are investing our money in the youth of this city.
And I'd just like to add, being on the board and seeing the great work that this agency does, and Annette Gray and her energy and what she does for our community, I would like to make a motion that we make it a silver donation to the cause versus bronze.
What's the price of the silver?
$1,000.
I'll second that motion for the $1,000. We don't want to be cheap.
And then I guess my question is that how much of that money will go to the residents of the CRA or the kids in the CRA?
Okay, so the lion's share of our participants come from the heart of Boynton. I have partnered with the Sim Center, and again, this is overhead costs and marketing costs. So Benvenuto, which is a business directly in your district, is a beneficiary of the funds.
So, any other further comments?
I have a couple questions. As I believe we should hold this sponsorship to a certain level of just, accountability as if it was a special events grant that we're giving. So I would like to see a cost breakdown for this event. I would also like to know, are we going to use the same standards of, for example, when we do our special events where we have 50% of the proceeds go to a nonprofit? How does that work when it comes to something like this? I'm asking this to you, Mike.
These parameters are all that you have the authority to set them if you so choose, to make it a straight sponsorship or to require any information that you'd like to. It's kind of falling outside in its own category as a special request, if you will. So supporting documentation of budgets or attendance at the end, or something along that line is certainly your prerogative.
Thank you, Mike. And the other thing is, this is for sophomore, junior, senior high school students. Is this for Boynton Beach High students, or is this on any scale?
It's on any scale. We have approximately 3 students returning from, you actually met a few of them when they came to present in the fall. So those students who started the program will come back and continue to grow their business. This program this summer will recruit new businesses from the area. I'm not going to say that the program is not open regionally. We do draw from as far as Fort Pierce to Lake Worth into our program. The conference itself, however, is in the district, but we do help youth regionally.
Michael, in the past, have we, when we've given grant money like this, have the MLK committee or the Hurricane Alley's event, did we ask for a breakdown of how the monies were spent?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We can ask for a breakdown, but I don't want us to get hung up too far on a breakdown when it comes to the youth here in this community. I'm just saying I don't want that to be one hang-up. I'm just saying, in good faith, I'm just saying we have to invest and look for, returns on the investment of our money. And I'm just saying, as long as we're investing in the youth of this community to be entrepreneurs and business leaders, I don't want us to get hung up in too much paperwork and saying, we got to see. I'm just saying we have to trust people now. That's all I'm saying.
I absolutely agree, and all I'm asking for is just transparency. I just want to make sure that if we're giving money, we also know exactly where it's going, how it's benefiting the community. I think that's not something difficult to ask, and I believe you as a nonprofit organization, this is what you do anyway. So
even as a former CRA employee, I'm used to that. So
thank you.
Perhaps you can come after the event. Perhaps next month you can give a little summary report and let them know of the attendance.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I just also want to say that Vice Mayor Katz is opening the conference for us and sitting on our leadership panel, and so is Commissioner Casello. So you will have eyes and ears on the ground for the conference. Do you actually have the panel lineup in your package?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And then my only request is that after the seminar, or the academy, is over in September, you bring them back and do what you did last year.
I will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we have a motion and second for 1,000. Is there any further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye. I appreciate your
All
support.
those opposed?
Thank you.
Seeing none.
I'd like to just give some direction, not you, Annette, for Mike or for legal. Is it possible to create some type of category or special designation for special events for situations like this? Because I'm sure once one door opens, we'll have a floodgate potentially. So it would be good to maybe have some type of parameters in terms of if an organization is asking for sponsorship, we know how to kind of delegate this and it's not just a random ask every single time.
Absolutely, that's great. We'll
Thank
also address it in the budget to see if you want to set aside a particular amount of funding just for this type of category, if you agree with the
And I would want to
policy.
ask the board is that, do we want to have it similar to our community support funds where there's a certain amount for each member, or does he want a one pot for the whole board? Any comment on that? So in our community support funds for the city, we each have $2,000. And then what I'm asking here is that if we're having a sponsorship activity,
As your staff, I would recommend that you have a line item with a policy and not individual board members. I think it's a better link to the statutory and plan requirements than to make it a personal choice. I think thank you.
Okay.
And I'm in favor of that line item because I represent District 2, and everybody, when they know I got $2,000, they want my $2,000. So if it's a line item, then that's fine. I'm just saying I'm in favor of that. We can discuss it further. We can get to budget.
all right, thank you so much. All right, moving on to item C, consideration of special events grant for the Heart of Boynton Community Association Incorporated.
Board Chair and board members, this is an actual special events grant application before you for the Heart of Boynton Community Association, Inc. They're requesting funds under that program not to exceed $5,000 for their Prayer in the Park event, which is scheduled for Saturday, July 29th of this year, 2017. I believe that Mr. Akins is here as the event president and president of the association, if you'd like to ask him any questions.
My question is, how much are you really, it's in the backup, but I need it to be stated for the community. How much are you asking for?
Well, we're asking for $26,700, but the thing is, 80%.
You're asking for $26,700. $26,000.
Yes, but most of that is already covered for the city. The city is 80% of that, so that's already included, as Mike Simon was saying. A lot of this money goes to the city, the things that obligate that they have to pay in order to have an event there.
So how much are you asking for the CRA to contribute? This is what
They
I
only
need to know.
contribute $5,000.
$5,000.
Yes, sir.
And
You're not asking for the percentage that the grant, this is a kind of, again, an out-of-the-box request, Mr. Akins. You're not asking for to follow the guidelines of the grant. You're asking for a flat $5,000.
Well, we want the guideline, but your guideline only gives us the things that are covered by the CRA. And the CRA is only covered the things such as, police protections, things like that. If you look on your page, there's only cover 7 things there.
Yeah, I'm looking at, in-kind services. I'm just saying police protection, fire department, they'll be
Right.
up there.
Those are the
I'm
things
just
that they
saying,
actually
but-
cover. So that don't really actually go to the needs of the Prayer in the Park.
All right. Tell me what we'll be getting for the $5,000.
So the $5,000 actually covers the police department, the barricades, the security, things like that. Portalet. On our list here, you have all the things here. That's what the $5,000 covers. That's why I said 80% of this stuff comes right back to the city.
So what we're doing is really we're reimbursing the city itself for the services. This is what I need to hear. And it's going to be held at
Carol Sim Center, July 29th, 12 to 5.
Michael, I have a question.
Okay.
The documents that weren't provided, is that something that, I'll ask the lawyer down there, the 3 documents that weren't provided, the board here, is that something legally that they need to provide? Or are we in any type of violation by giving money without those documentations?
If you have an adopted policy, you need to abide by the adopted policy. So I would defer to Mike on the policy and how we've implemented it in the future. From a statutory perspective, there's no requirements that need to be met or are part of the. But as a board, if you have an adopted policy, you need to abide by it.
Michael?
Yes, I'm looking up there's information that was provided in the cover of documentation like the IRS determination letter. I believe something was submitted. Mercedes, if you want to come up and let me know what that document was this afternoon. The eligible items under the grant are entertainment, advertising, event equipment, tents, tables, chairs, staging, and security. So there are elements of the cost breakdown.
I understand that, but is the IRS determination letter, is that we in violation not having that? Florida Department of State Division Corporations detailed by entity name report. Most recent Form 990 in Schedule A or 990EZ. We have none of that documentation. Can we still give money without that documentation? That's my question.
This is a reimbursable grant, if I am correct, and therefore they will have to request reimbursement if you approve it, which would mean they would have to properly document all of the expenses that are provided for in the grant. So all of those forms would be required at that time. So if you could certainly approve it with the condition that they fulfill the requirements of submitting the necessary information.
May I add something to that? The 99, the information that you're asking for is a tax purposes only, and we only do that. We do a W-9 for that, which means that when we claim that 501c3, we does not file a tax under that profit. And everything else from that point on, we have turned in those papers on and documented. The three things they're talking about, such as insurance and things like that, has been turned in. We spent almost $1,000 just getting everything in the paper. If you can look under the Sunbeam, you'll see that we incorporated and we have all the information, everything's there. So what information you're saying, those three things are not, at the time, has not been clarified. Am I correct?
Just as long as we get the proper documentation and we get the proper forms filled, I have no problem.
We got it.
My comments is that, Mr. Akins, to you and your group, I'm just saying I'm glad that you all have gotten off the ground for the heart of Boynton. You are back over there. And
a lot of work.
What we had that was viable many, many years ago, you all are back now.
We're back.
And I'm glad to see that you all are back and that you'll be in a productive group.
Yes, we are.
Within District 2. And also the city of Boynton. I don't like to keep harping on District 2, but that's what I represent. But the city of Boynton, it's about time that we come back to the plate, and whatever the visual is or whatever you all are doing, I'm in total agreement. I'm going to go ahead and offer a motion that we go ahead and offer the $5,000 that you all come back with your illegal documentation of what you all spent it for, so it would be in compliance with the internal revenue when it comes to paperwork for the CRA.
And we do have timelines for everything that you need for the events and everything like that. And we're going strictly by our insurance and everything like that. Everything's been applied. We're following all the rules and regulations. So it is in District 2, so you don't have to worry about it. It's going to the citizens. We got 28 churches that we're going to, and we're inviting the whole city. So what I'm saying to you, the money is going for District 2 and for the education and the coming together unity of all the churches in District 2. So if I want to say that we dot every I and crossing all the T's.
All right,
anything else that anybody have a question with?
I have a couple questions. So you are applying for the nonprofit status?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
We are nonprofits.
Okay, you have the nonprofit status IRS determination letter?
Yes, we do.
Okay, great. My other thing is that, are you going to be requesting donations during this event? Maybe a 50-50 raffle or have a silent auction?
Yes, we are.
Okay, and just so that we can help, don't need to require the funding from the CRA. This is kind of to get the program, the Prayer in the Park off, and so next year hopefully we have it bigger and better.
We do have other events coming down the line, but the Prayer in the Park right now, I think the city right now needs more of Prayer in the Park, and then anything else, I see what St. John is doing. We're asking all the churches to come together. The Prayer in the Park is going to bring us together as unity spiritually, and also have all the other churches then stand up and just stand to the plate, and not that the St. John just be the only ones that are doing it. This is a big city. We got a lot of pastors and good people in here that I'm asking all of the pastors to come together as well as people. That's why it's everybody.
28.
Yes, 28 churches that we got going right now.
That's churches outside District 2 also, right?
Yes.
Okay.
All churches, non-denomination, everything that counts, because we need all people.
Right. My take is that, I can go along with asking for a donation. Since it's a prayer vigil, I cannot go with no 50-50 raffle. I'm just saying, sorry, that's me, Why don't you just ask for donations from the
We're asking
individuals
for a
that come?
donation.
That's
Thank
fine.
you.
Yeah,
Thank you. Can we get a donation?
Okay.
All right.
So board, your motion is to approve a maximum of $5,000 reimbursable with the proper documentation of those expenses. Okay.
Okay.
I'd like to make a comment. I'm I'm a little bit torn about this item, and I just want to be completely honest. I am a God believer, I am a faith believer, but I just have a little bit of an issue with this in terms of I don't necessarily feel like this is what this grant is meant for. This is meant to be a religious event, and I don't believe that government should play a role in religious events. In addition to that, I also feel like this opens up a slippery slope of if there's another event that maybe just to make a crazy example out of it that opens the door for satanic worship. Do we as a board get penalized for supporting them because we had to support this event? So I'm just being very, very open and very transparent here about my dilemma because, again, this is an event that I wholeheartedly support, and I would financially myself give support to this, but I feel that as a government entity, it's very hard for me to say yes to this because it doesn't feel like we're within our parameters to be giving finances to a religious event that's going to be bringing religious organizations together. It sounds very backwards coming from me, but I just don't feel like government should be playing a role in religious organizations and their events.
Can I give an answer to that? I think it's more than just a religious background. I think it's all people. We went with the religious thing because people go where people are. It's more than just a religion. We're bringing people together. We're bringing support together. So it's just not just a religious now. We're doing other things. We're giving backpacks and other things like this here. So if you look at it from a religious point of view, it's not just that. We're bringing all the people together so they can stand up together for unity and for their environment. We're trying to bring a city together. So it's not just the religious part. We use the religious part because that's the strongest type of people we have. People go where people are. So my whole thing is that if you think it's just religious, no, look at the unity of all the people that's coming together on one accord doing one thing together. Yes.
Mr. Akins, let me just go ahead and jump in. I was doing a funeral in Fort Lauderdale, and I seen a sign that said Unity Fest. If you all could just change it to Unity Fest, then we will not, and it's unity.
Okay.
You say coming together.
Yes, we are.
So just call it a Unity Fest.
Have you invited any other organizations other than churches?
All organizations was asking. We just started with the churches.
What other organizations have you asked?
Different organizations like different groups, different churches, or anything like that.
Other than churches
yet.
Have you invited any?
We got 28 churches. We haven't sent out the information because we don't want to give them the wrong dates yet. So we want to wait till we get it approved.
So the information is only been sent out to churches. Is that what you're saying?
Churches and the communities.
In communities.
Yes.
Community centers, community.
All those will be covered, sir. Until we get a final date, which means after we get approval, then we'll be able to send out all the information out there. We have lists of things already. So that will be included. So I hope that answers your question.
Well, if you call it Unity Fest, then you can include all the clubs,
Yes.
I'm just saying, so then, Day of Unity. Then
That's
that
right.
takes care of that.
That's right. I have a problem with that. And we will change that as being noted. Any other questions?
Yes, Vice Chair.
Not a question, but I appreciate Board Member Ramos' statement in lieu of the past year, and decisions do come to us obviously because there is a heavy religious presence in the heart of Boynton, and the CRA that I've often thought about the conflict of sourcing government taxpayer funds for religious activities or activities that are quasi-religious, and it's something that I appreciate her bringing this up. And I think it's a discussion worth having anytime something comes before us that has entanglements with religious organizations. Not to say that we can't or we shouldn't all the time, but there's a degree of scrutiny. I think that we're obligated, under our oath to abide by the Constitution to make sure that we're not having too much of an entanglement between public taxpayer dollars and religious activities or religious affiliated activities, organizations. So I don't object to this in particular, but I do, again, appreciate the comments from Board Member Romulus because it is a valid discussion and point that I think needs to be discussed from time to time depending on the circumstances.
Well, my comment is that we have done an invocation in front of every meeting, and so government, we do pray for our government,
yes,
and so that's kind of where I'm at. Is that if you don't want to call it a prayer in the park, I'm okay with that as well. We can
change the name.
A community fest. There's a lot of different. Because we already had a celebration of unity this year. We don't want to get it confused. But I'm definitely for this. I think it's definitely what is needed in the community. I've been walking on Martin Luther King. They've been asking me when are we going to have another event. So is there also going to be a possible rain date?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'd like to send out an invitation for each and every one of you to come and attend and also participate, because maybe we're giving some things out, and I would love to see you there and to give support, as well as Mr. Mark Salmon. He's been fantastic. He's been helping us in the community and helping doing stuff. And our own District 2 Commissioner, Mr. McCray, he's been fantastic. So what I'm saying, you all are invited also to come and see how the money is being spent, how it's being done, and what life has changed. And remember, we're praying. We're doing something very positive about this thing here. We're praying not only just for us, but we're praying for St. John and all of the other churches and everybody. Because what we're trying to do is we're trying to revitalize the city, we're trying to rebuild the city, and we're trying to bring people back. And this is the most positive way to ever do this program. So I thank you for your vote and looking forward to working with you and hope that things go better. And I got other plans down the road, so we'll drop that on you too later down the road.
We haven't voted yet.
Yep. So
but
hold on.
By
hold
prayer,
on.
you work by faith, don't you?
Yeah. Thank you. So there's a motion to approve by Board Member McCray. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? We look forward to the new name.
Gentlemen, thank you, everyone.
All right.
Thank you.
Item C, consideration of special events grant for the Heart of... No, item D. Consideration of ILA with the City of Boynton Beach for partial funding for the Economic Development Director.
Yes, Board Chair and Board members, the item before you is a partnership agreement with the City of Boynton Beach for the partial funding of David Scott, who is the new Economic Development and Strategy Director. The ILA specifies a percentage of time spent on CRA-related issues of 25%, which is equal to the maximum amount of the salary that the CRA is obligating themselves to, which at this particular juncture in the fiscal year it amounts to a maximum of $23,795 through the end of September 30th. As you know, David is already very active within his role as the Economic Development Director and Strategy. He's here tonight if you have any questions. It does fall in line with statutory requirements, and we're going to have all the backup that we need to justify those payments.
Mr. Simon, you said at the end of September 30th. That's September 30th, 2017.
For the remainder of this budget year.
Michael, have we done this in the past? Well,
Yes, sir. We are funding the neighborhood police unit, and we're also funding the community outreach. Community standards outreach.
Have we funded a director's position, partially funded a director's position before?
Not the director's position, no.
No. So this is something new?
This position is new within the city of Boynton Beach. There was a individual some years ago, Scott Klein, that occupied the position, but we did not fund a percentage of his work at that time.
Why are we doing this now?
Well, we are being asked by the city to help in his funding with the crossover of his job description and energies being placed on CRA projects in the CRA district, the community wealth building.
This is the problem I have, because I think of Boynton Beach as a city. We break it down like CRA city and city. I don't quite understand that mentality. This is a city. If we hire a director for the city, or a department head for the city, he takes care of the whole city. I don't see how we say, well, he's got to cross over into the CRA district, and so we should pay partial salary.
I understand.
Do you understand where I'm coming from?
I do, and as a board, that's certainly a decision in your voting. We have, as staff, found a way to link the work that David is going to be doing that is intertwined with the CRA.
I appreciate it, but we can always link the dots. I understand how that part of it works, but I'm taking it on its value, face value.
For me, I had a meeting with David Scott today, and so
he's a great guy.
No, I'll have
just for the record.
This isn't about David.
But the whole point is that there are specific CRA items that are not on the city. And so it's regarding CRA budget items that we are dealing with, and that is the reason why we're paying for him to create the strategy for the CRA, for our grants. So, for example, all the new policies that we are trying to implement, that is something that he can help us with. Or otherwise, he will not be able to help us as the CRA board if he's only the city. So all of the new policies regarding the special events grants, the sponsorships, the vendors, the letter of intent, there's so many new policies that we are creating within the CRA that if we don't pay for his services, we don't get them. Furthermore, it seems that we are actually helping the city out because they are lending us their economic development and strategy director. So otherwise, they don't have to give that all that, was it 30 years of public.
But if you go with that reasoning, Board Chair, so the police and fire, do we pay for special services for our public safety?
Absolutely.
Does
For
the
our
CRA
the CRA events, we pay the police.
But I'm saying no, for everyday use.
But this is not everyday use.
But he's the economic developer.
But what you could say is that you want to know, do we pay for them? Yeah, you got police policing over in the District 2. I met with Mr. Scott today, too, because I found out that he had met with the clergy in District 2, and I felt kind of bad because he didn't meet with me first. After I met with him and I got his opinion to find out where he was going and where he was trying to lead this city, I'm in agreement with Chairman right here, because I'm just saying, we get hung up on saying how are we going to spend the dollars. I'm just saying, but we have measurables, and if you don't live up to those measurables, then at the next budget, then Mr. Scott will not be receiving funds from the CRA. That's how we have to tell him. I'm just saying, you either do the job or we don't pay you. That's what I'm in favor of.
Any other comments?
I'll just say something. For a very, 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 very long time, I feel we've needed to have this person in this position. And hey, listen, I think tax dollars are being paid to have people in this position to protect our small business owners, to protect our small businesses, to do the things that Mr. Scott was employed to do. So I'm okay with paying him $23,000 and $47,000 on an annual basis to do that. And I believe that, he has a tremendous, tremendous experience to be able to bring us the best of that, the cream of the crop of that knowledge. So I'm totally in favor of having him here and having this position be funded partly by the CRA because I believe it's needed. Thank you.
Vice Chair?
Yeah, I support the item. I absolutely respect Board Member Casello's position because this is kind of it's one example of the type of thing that people who are up in Tallahassee attacking CRAs would look for, and they would say, well, you're doing this and you're saying you're doing it for a reason. They would try to pick something like this apart where it could be paid for by the city or it could be paid for by the CRA. But as long as legal and our directors say we're on firm, statutory ground, then I support it. But again, I respect the position that Board Member Casello brought up because if you pay attention to some of the bills that were being pushed in Tallahassee this year, these were people who were anti-CRA and looking for any excuse where we weren't necessarily doing exactly what we're supposed to try to disband or limit or restrict future CRAs. So a valid point and duly noted. And again, I support the item on the table.
Any further comments? Seeing none, may I have a motion?
And if we didn't have a CRA, all the money be in one pot, okay? So we just...
No, actually, the county would get half of it.
Okay. Motion to approve.
All right.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Seeing none, motion passes unanimously.
Board, if I can say, I really greatly appreciate the conversation and the deliberation that you've been going through as a CRA staff person and as a company. I think I applaud you. I think you're really getting in touch with your CRA side, and
be careful. We have comments about you tonight, sir.
It's absolutely appreciated. Thank you.
Moving on to item E, consideration of the purchase of the sales agreement with Larry Finkelstein for the property located at 340 Northeast 10th Avenue, Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. Michael.
Yes, Board Chair, this is the item that was tabled at, I guess we need to make it off the table, perhaps, from last meeting.
Oh, it was on the table.
I'm sorry we didn't
okay, motion.
Put that in red.
The table. Room table.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Thank you. If you'll remember at the last meeting, this item was before you, and it was tabled at the last minute because we had been informed of a lease, a current lease that the property owner has with the church at the end of Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard on the east side that is currently extended through December 30th of this year. It's the Haitian Pentecostal Church. They use this lot currently for additional parking for their services on Sunday. They pay $60 a month to maintain the lot and provide insurance to us, or would provide insurance certifications to us as additionally insured. We have done a similar allowance of parking on property that the CRA owned with the Bride of Christ Church when they were under construction over 2 years ago, I think now, on Northeast 11th Avenue. So as a parking kind of allowance, as a staff person, I'm okay with that. We'll monitor it and certainly get in touch with the church and let them know what our expectations are as owners of the property now as a public agency. But I think the property's location and value to the agency overall, legal has read through the lease and the contract and doesn't see any concerns with the legalities of the lease. If that's something that you're in favor of, purchasing now as opposed to attempting to wait until the lease expires in December and hoping that it would still be available.
Finkelstein, I'm trying to call you him. Must be talking about me. Mike, in regards to this, tell me the benefits that this will bring to the CRA district.
Yes, sir.
If we purchase this property.
If you don't mind going into your backup, there's, I think, we have the plan first, and then which talks about this block as being zoned and land used for general commercial activity in the future as we begin to redevelop this corridor. Currently, the CRA and the city own the three lots to the south of this property, which are combined together to hopefully address other issues within the cottage district, perhaps some new industry there on the corner. This also provides I believe, much needed access between East Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard and Northeast 9th Avenue. Currently, as you know, you travel east from Federal Highway on East Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. There is no left-hand turn along that route for those three blocks that you can get to Northeast 9th. This may provide us with the opportunity to build a road that would connect through there, especially given that this is the general commercial node at the end as per the plan. So given the price is much within line with the appraisal and the location and proximity to other properties we own, this is adjacent to the building that the neighborhood police program is occupying. I think that this provides opportunity for redevelopment growth of that corridor.
What is the property appraised for?
$46,000, and the seller is only willing to accept $50,000, so it's a $4,000 over appraised value.
But,
plus closing costs.
Plus closing costs. Okay. Who will receive the $60? I'm just saying for rent. Will we receive it? The
CRA will. Yes, sir.
Okay, my whole take is that I'm just saying we don't want the property to get away. I'm just saying, and this is one that is not, and coming from Mr. Finkelstein, who's been trying to get millions for little properties within our district. I'm just saying, with a $4,000, this is, we need to buy this now. I'm just saying, so that we could lock this in. If we see down the road we need to put a road through there, then I am willing to go for that. But we need to accept this property now, since it's being offered for $50,000, since it's appraised at $46,000. This is not one of those where it's $50,000, $46,000, and we got to pay $1 million for it. So,
is there anyone from the audience would like to comment on this?
Minister Wright wanted to talk about it.
Yep. Yes, sir. You have to come down to the podium, state your name and address for the record.
I sure will. So compliment here. Almost seemed like my second home. To God be the glory. Minister Bernard Wright.
713 Northwest 2nd Street, CEO of Bernard Wright Ministries and Real Talk Radio and the Robert E. Wells Foundation. Let me say that Mr. Finkelstein owned a great number of properties here in Boynton Beach, and he really profited from about $6.7 million in the past. I was just concerned about whether he was purchasing this property because of future redevelopment, what the situation. I wanted some clarity on this. I mean, I'm concerned about someone having some monopoly on property instead of buying property and then getting rich from it, but that's my concern.
I think he's only getting a $4,000 gain above the appraised value.
Well, I don't have no problem with that. To God be the glory.
All right, thank you. All right, any other comments from the board?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Last is second. Next one.
Add an H.
Consideration of the purchase and sales agreement with Stephen Reichel for the property located at 521 Northeast 2nd Street.
Board Chair and board members, this is a contract to purchase properties that were previously identified in the staff presentation of the Cottage District and project status. This property, along with others, are located across on the east side, facing the Cottage District site on Northeast 1st Street, and they extend all the way to 2nd Street, so they front two streets. These properties are duplex properties with landlords that perhaps would otherwise not be improving them to the degree that would make the Cottage District single-family home site appealing to developers or to individuals purchasing homes. So one of the things we do as an agency under the plan is to attempt to accumulate properties and redevelop them that are adjacent to ours to further interest and investment within the heart of Boynton District or other districts in the CRA. These properties are at the will of the board whether to purchase. I do feel from all of our meetings with developers interested in doing single-family residence on the Cottage District that this particular area of First is a very noticeable hindrance to their willingness to invest and risk investment in that project at this time. Whether those in the future would revitalize themselves under the current ownership is certainly not something that we could bank on. I mentioned before of coming up with programs for multifamily landlords to offer grants for improvement of properties, to convert duplexes into single-family residence, trying to, again, stabilize the neighborhood with home ownership. That's always an excellent target item for CRAs to do in cities when they're trying to get rid of elements that are a hindrance to that stabilization. So we, as I mentioned to you all, we have been reaching out to owners of the property along First, across the street, and this is one of those owners that has responded with an interest to sell. It was appraised at $166,000, and that is the purchase price that he is accepting for the property. Again, these properties, any property that the CRA acquires, if it's commercial, if it's residential, if it's a multifamily, a church, an office building, all of the appraisal is based on what that property is at the time of the appraisal. Sometimes what we intend to do with the property after purchase is not in line with its current value, and therefore it appears that we would be paying a higher value for, not necessarily in this particular case, but if it's based on the current use, it may at times be higher than what we would normally want to pay for something that we had alternative plans for. But that is kind of the nature of our business, and it does happen from time to time.
My take is on this property, since it's a duplex already on there, we're not going to purchase this and let individuals stay there. We're going to purchase this and demolish it.
The condition of closing is that it is sold vacant. We prefer to have the landlords work through their tenants, and we take the property without occupancy. And depending on the condition, we'd like to entertain perhaps seeing if we can convert it to a single, but given what I'm seeing, it would probably be demolished and made way for another new home, either through when the cottage district is built, or an infill housing with either the CDC or Habitat or someone like that. That would be ideal.
I'm glad you said that it's going to be sold vacant, but my take is that when we buy property like this, instead of boarding it up for individuals to go in and start living, without us knowing there, and using it for drug activities, I'm not in favor of us purchasing a property and letting it stand when we can go ahead and demolish the property, clean off the lot, and, start doing what we need to do.
Yes, sir.
Purchase this, I am in favor of being demolished. I'm just saying this is the route we need to take. Clean it up while we're cleaning up.
All right, I'd like to say that I'm actually opposed to demolishing it. I'd rather work with, see if we can work with our faith-based CDC to work with local contractors to flip it, to find a new owner, because as a duplex, this is affordable housing, and so I'd rather it be turned into affordable housing, and upgraded, rather than just demolished and be a vacant lot until someone wants to build on it in the future.
I'm in favor of what you just said, because for us to be a CRA, you came in and tore down everything, all the
right.
So the building is fine. I'm okay with that, but I'm just saying, if we're not going to do anything with it, tear it down. I'm in favor of that.
Yeah, it's concrete. I was looking at the exterior wall. It's concrete bricks, so
yeah,
there might be a lot of interior work, but as long as the walls are fine, and I think it would be something that we can do to help with building wealth in the community.
We can bring you back a cost analysis of rehabbing it versus building a new house, and certainly you would absolutely have the approval of that.
I'm actually not in favor of purchasing this property. I feel like it's actually outside of the scope of what we need to do. It's one single individual house on its own. It's appraised for $166. Not that I'm saying the appraisal is wrong, but I just feel like, do we really need to spend $166,000 on one single house when, for example, there are lots of other places that we can spend that money and maybe purchase 2-3 lots for $50, like we just did with the Finkelstein property. So I'm a little uneasy about spending $166,000 on just this one property that's in the middle of a bunch of other homes. It's not like it's connecting lots or allowing for us to expand on a block or anything. It's just in the middle. It's infill. It doesn't really vibe, I don't feel. So I'm not going to be for that.
I mean, I walk by it a lot, so I know that the property to the north of it just sold for $155,000, and this is kind of what we're trying to do. Instead of workforce housing where the ordinance is going to be ready in December, this is something that we could try and move faster. The whole point of the faith-based CDC is to provide affordable help with home ownership. This is a duplex, not just a single-family home. So this is something that the community is asking for. I'm for what the community is asking for, and that we don't know what we can do with it. So let's see what we can do with it before we make any decisions of what we know that we don't know what we don't know.
It's currently inhabited, right?
Correct.
Yes.
So is the community asking for it to be sold? Are they asking for it to be rehabbed? And I mean, it's one single house in the middle of all these different homes. Are they asking for that particular
the
property?
question? So the answer is that would 4 other people, or at least 4 other family, 2 families, have to find new homes in the community? Yes, because if we tear it down or we make it vacant, families would have to leave.
But if we leave it alone, then they stay.
Or we rehab it and make it nice and make it according to what we want for the cottage district.
In the interim, you still displace those families. Because who's selling us the property? Is it the families or is it the homeowner?
So you know what? We don't have to, we can, there's a lot of different options, and I want to see the options. So this is, if we know that, plus I'd like to also that, because it being the CRA, that we can monitor that community a little bit better.
Mike, would you like us to bring back some options before you agree to? I mean, I certainly.
Well, that's where I was going to go. Can we bring back a cost analyst that what this would cost us to potentially what we actually can do with the property, whether rehab it, if it's rehabable, or it'd be demolished. So could you come back before we vote on this?
Yes, sir.
Can we table this?
We certainly can. And this was, a staff-initiated inquiry into those properties to see what willingness those owners had, and we can even Those that don't want to purchase, maybe this ends up creating a new program for multifamily improvement grant. Who knows? But I'm certainly happy to do that for you.
I'd like to make a motion that we table this until the next meeting.
Next meeting, second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Item is tabled till next meeting. Consideration of dates for budget meeting, full year 2017 to 2018.
Yes, Board Chair and Board members, as is our kind of annual calendar policy, we are requesting consideration of some dates for you to select to hold a budget meeting for our annual budget for the next year of 2017-18 from October 1st of 2017 to September 30th of 2018. We have had in the past both variations of our budget meeting taking place during regular meetings and as a separate meeting. I noted in the cover that it has been apparent that over the years the individual meetings on a night that is not your regular meeting are less attended by the public than a regularly scheduled meeting, but that is just a note of information. We have anticipate presenting you with budget information in June, July, and August, breaking down our budget from the project fund, which we would begin in June to discuss. Information from the property tax appraiser comes out at the end of May, establishing some estimated TIF amounts for the following year. And then again at the end of June, those numbers are again adjusted and reviewed by the property appraiser, tweaking all the way until the end of our budget cycle and approval. So we would then in July go back over the proposed project fund and the projects that you've anticipate funding and discuss those again along with some of the general fund and administrative and marina items, and then go into August with all of those essentially well discussed by the public and yourselves, and any additional tweaks that you want to make in August, we can do that at the regular meeting as well. So as you know, we've been discussing large-scale projects this year. We've got Sarah Sims and Ocean Breeze East and Town Square, which is not any of the small ones there. So we're just really looking for direction on how you want to proceed with the budget.
I'd like to go with what you proposed in that we don't have any special meetings and that we have it just as a line item, another new business item, and that the CRA Board reviews it if possible.
Do you want would you like to have the June meeting where you're going over the budget yourselves first and then the July meeting is CRAB, or do you want the CRAB to go over the agenda in June before you see it in June?
I think as the board, I think we need to see it before the crab see it.
Okay. That sounds good.
So they would follow that, great. Yeah. So July would begin.
So that they see what we're doing.
Okay.
And that the public can also make comments there.
Very good. Susan, do we need a motion for that, or is it just direction? Okay. Very good. Consensus is good. Thank you.
At the July meeting, we'll have it on.
You're going to have it on
projector.
June.
That way the public can also see it.
Absolutely. We're going to have a live spreadsheet in June and July and August.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Item 14H, Interim Director, Vice Chair Katz.
Yeah, just, it's up next month. I felt like, why wait? My personal opinion is that Mike Simon has done a fantastic job, and that's in the absence of an assistant director, so he's been pulling extra work, and I assume everyone else in the office has had to pick up some slack as well. So I just figured, a discussion to get it done, at the will of the board, and what your opinions are, might as well happen now.
My take is that, I don't feel like I'm, trying to rush this. I do take that he has done a fantastic job, but I like to, see something come from Mr. Simon saying, these are the things that I have accomplished. I'm just saying, we know what he have accomplished, but I like to see it on paper, and then I like to see where he's saying that this is where I'm trying to go from here to the rest of the year. I'm just saying, I like to know what I'm voting on. I like to hear what his take is. And I can wait until next month. This will give him some leeway to say, I need to get this information to us before we vote at the next meeting.
I'm in a position to vote tonight on it. I think that the 5 months that he's been in at the helm here, it's been a 180-degree turnaround there at the CRA. It's been refreshing, for lack of a better word. And I think Mike is a progressive. He's a problem solver. And, you know, I sat in a couple of meetings on this town square, and when he's addressed as interim, it just doesn't feel right. It's, you know, it weakens our position, I think. I think that we got to give him the credit that he's due and give him the title that he's worked and earned. And I'd make a motion tonight that we drop the word interim and make him the CRA director.
My take is that when Mr. Simon was given this position, you know, we gave him a 6-month trial period. I need to ask legal, will this conclude a 6-month trial period? This is what I'm saying.
In June. And
In
so
June, this is what I'm saying.
What certainly the board can do is, currently Mr. Simon does not have a contract. Our previous executive director operated under a contract. So if the board wants to direct me to put together a contract for the executive director position to be considered in June, we can do that, which would formalize the position and establish review criteria, salary, etc. Certainly that will be your discussion. I could meet with each of you individually.
Can we make him director tonight and then discuss salary next month?
I'm in favor of doing what you said legally, because we said that it's a 6-month period. Let's do it the way it's supposed to be done. Bring back the information to us, meet with us individually, and then we all be on the same page. Because if we do it tonight, although I'm in favor of Mr. Simon being, you know, the director of the CRA, I'm going to vote against it, because I'm just saying we're not within the guidelines. Just like, you know, with St. John, we said we're not going to do this tonight because we want to be legal. June is when it's legally supposed to be done. What's the urgency? Let's wait until June.
Okay. I would like to echo what legal says, that we prepare the legal documents for June, and so that we can make it official in June.
And I can certainly meet with each of you individually in preparation of that to get your thoughts.
And also, would we be negotiating with you for, you know, how does that work?
I represent the CRA, so I would not be representing Mr. Simon in that contract. I would be representing the CRA in the negotiation of that contract.
Okay.
Eric, could you send us the current salary structure and, you know, give us some information so we have some basis to go by?
Yes, I will have Susan and Vicki send you that information, and I will send you the contract we had previously for you to use as a base. We can certainly change all of it. I'll probably recommend changing a lot of it.
I hope so.
So would I.
So, but just to give you an idea of the things that were addressed, they will be addressed clearer. But we'll get that information to you in advance of my meeting with each of you.
I'm on board with that.
Thank you very much, board. I appreciate
That
all of
wasn't
your
awkward
comments.
at all.
That's really, I do
Mike,
thank
let
you.
me, I'll give
Thank
you a
you.
premature glowing evaluation at this point. You've done a fantastic job in the past 5 months as our interim executive director. And let me just say, one of the main issues I had with our past director was just the fact that, you know, I felt like decisions were being made for us as a board rather than giving us facts and letting us make up our own mind. And I feel like you have done, you know, you've hit it on the nail, where you give us the facts and you let us make up our own mind, and you know, answer questions where they are needed, and you provide factual guidance where we need to go. So I do appreciate that thoroughly from you, you know, and please keep that up.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
And
Welcome.
just let it be known, Mike, that board member Romulus had said earlier when you were being appointed that you had to stop talking so much.
We're still working on this.
He was talking, but he wasn't saying anything. Now he's talking and he's saying something.
There you go.
Thank you. All right. Thank you.
Wow.
So just to clarify, we're through consensus, we're directing the CRA attorney to negotiate a contract over the next 30 days, and that will be presented at the next meeting so we can vote for or against said contract.
Yes.
All right. I agree. Okay. Is there anything left on the agenda? I don't think so. CRA Advisory Board. I believe they did not meet this month, and that a couple of the advisory board members have 2 absences.
3. They have there's 2 with 3.
Okay. And so, do we have a policy, or does the city who formed the CRA Advisory Board have a policy regarding absences?
Yes, the city policy is that a letter is noted to each of those individuals that have missed 3, just reminding them that after missing 1 more, I believe the direction is that the board has the option of
terminating.
Excuse me, Teresa, would you like to, since you've talked to them?
Teresa Utterback, Business Development Specialist. Actually, it's going before the clerk, Judith. I've sent emails. She has to provide a letter, and 3-4 you're out. And then
Okay.
it has to go back for interviews to be replaced.
And so can the CRA Board appoint, or is it only for the City Commission?
I believe it's the City Commission.
City
Okay.
Commission.
All right.
Which is why Judith has to write it
Now
gets
it's still the City Board.
Yes, it's sent to
Okay.
the city.
Right, while I'm waiting, send me the name of the ones that,
Well, I'll provide you all with
Thank
that.
you.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you again, very much.
You may I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye.